Good morning, warriors. Back with another episode of Vigor Warriors 2. Hope you guys are having a great day. It's early in the morning and there's some construction work going on around me here. So I'm going to talk, but if you hear some sounds around there, that's kind of what it is. So once again, thank you for all the subscribers. We're over 100, so that's wonderful. But I'm not really as concerned about that. What I want to make sure we're doing is getting information to you that is really important. So subscribe, like, comment, do a bunch of those things that can indicate to me whether you liked some of the topics or did not like some of the topics. I'm going to go ahead and as I look at those, I kind of focus on more than the others and just kind of throw a bunch out there. The main goal of the channel, Vigor Warriors 2, is to focus on well-being and self-control and doing those things to make you successful in our modern day. Whether you're 20 years old, 30 years old, 60 years old like I am, or older, you want to focus on trying to do the best you can and be the best warrior and the best person you can be. So once again, subscribe, like, and comment. So my topic for today, based on a question and comment we had, is fear is the devil. Now let's talk about this a little bit. The whole key that I've learned over the years is that part of the issue that we have, that people have, is that people are almost their worst enemies because of the idea of fear. And this creates issues. Now, are there things out there that you should be scared of? Of course, right? If you got your hand by the stove and you stick your hand in the burner, when it's on, it's going to be hot, and you probably should be scared of doing that, right? So you're not going to do that, right? We learned that when we were younger. If you're at a fire, you're not going to stick your hand in the fire, and so you might be a little bit scared of that. But there's a big difference between fear, which is immobilizing you, as compared to fear that demobilizes you. And you want to go ahead and kind of use fear in a positive way. And then what I mean by that is not saying that fear is going to destroy you and stop you, but fear is going to just warn you and say, okay, there's some danger here, but you need to kind of move on. The fear in the mind is the biggest problem we have. And that's why we talk about retention, we talk about self-control, because if you're able to control yourself, you start a physical, mental journey, spiritual journey, in which now you're controlling yourself, your thoughts, your ideas, and you're trying to get away from all those things that kind of held you back before and stopped you. And so fear is a big key to that. And so I focus on what I looked at in an idea called the law of attraction. And what ends up happening is that a lot of times you end up kind of focusing on something long enough. And in the speech field, we talk about a self-fulfilling prophecy or a self-fulfilling expectation, which means that if you think about something long enough, your body, your subconscious mind, all those type of things tend to move that way. It's almost like trying to talk yourself into something. Eventually, you will talk yourself into believing it, whether it's right or wrong. That's your version of it. You believe that. And if you repeat it long enough, and repetition, once again, is the key to everything, you learn that this is what your truth is. Now, the reality of the situation might be totally different. But the idea is that you're still believing that idea. And a lot of times that's your perception. And there's nothing wrong with your perception when it comes to your own goals and ideas. And so if you repeat your goals enough, you're going to be able to get stronger and stronger in your conviction with those, and then believe those things can really actually happen. And that's where it starts. Now, that's a positive part of it. The negative part of it is the fear. If you don't know this principle, then all of a sudden now you're thinking about things that are negative all the time, things that can happen, and those things can kind of hurt you when it comes to actually performing. What happens, and then I see this in the speech field a lot, is when people get scared to giving a speech, and we all have that nervousness and fear. But nervousness is one thing. Nervousness you can control. But we get to the point when a person is giving a speech and they can't give a speech because they've kind of talked themselves so much into being scared that it stops them from giving a speech. Almost like it stops you from succeeding because you quit. and you're basically giving in to the fear. And that's the whole key, guys, to stopping it. You cannot give in to the fear. Now, the fear is going to be there. I think the fear is always around. This is why I call it the devil. It's going to be around. Temptation is going to be around. Fear is going to be around. All this type of things. But if you have to flee from it, flee from it. Go away, get away from it. But the idea is that you have to go ahead and try to deal with the situation. In a speech case, if you have to give a speech, you have to give it. You got to learn how to deal with that fear. In the case of you succeeding, the key thing is to know that you have the fear. Be able to know, okay, I am scared. I realize that, but now I'm going to take steps to stop it. So the key again is to be able to understand that fear is going to be around you. It's always going to be around you. But how can you stop this? How can you use that to your advantage to achieve your goal? Remember, the long-term idea, guys, is to achieve your goals. Keep focusing on goals. Don't give up on your goals and keep going with those. Fear can stop your goals. Fear is your enemy. Fear is going to be something that's going to stop you in defeating, any type of plans you have. That's what happens to 90% of us. They're scared of, something or another, scared of rejection, scared of succeeding sometimes. And people are scared of that to the point where they don't actually do the thing that they want to do. And they don't move ahead and take the risks and the chances because they're scared. And that's a sad type of thing, but we get into that mindset because fear has taken us over. The same thing when it comes to short-term and long-term gratification. A lot of times we think that by watching a movie or watching images and losing our energy, that's a short-term gratification. We're afraid that if we don't do it for a while, that somehow it's going to hurt us. And once again, it's the fear that people have told us that we believe. And fear is all around us, telling us different types of things. But you have to kind of get grounded inside of yourself. And one of the things that books I'm going to kind of put with this thing is The Secret of the Ages by Robert Collier. The last printing is 2007, but it goes along with the Think and Grow Rich and The Secret and a lot of those other types of books, focusing how important the mind is. And no, I don't think that's the end of it, end be all, but I do think the mind plays a big part in this as well. And I think in order for me to succeed with my journey, I have to have a level of mind control of myself. And I think that's the key with self-control. If you're self-disciplined and control that. But again, the fear is the key of it. So if you're dealing with a situation in which you have fear and okay, I am scared of this result. Once again, the mind and the mind can't focus on two things at the same time. The mind can either focus on the fear or focus on the other result you want to get. And what you've got to do is learn how to switch that off. You got to say to yourself, okay, I know that I'm scared here, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway, move ahead with it, and find out exactly how you can deal with it as you go along. Because if you don't step into the situation, you're going to actually be more scared the next time. I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt, and you guys are way too young now. Eleanor Roosevelt was the wife of FDR, who was a president back in the 1930s and 40s. But she had a great comment. Her comment was, do the thing that you fear, and the fear will leave. And that's the whole thing, guys. I was afraid of heights at times. I would actually force myself to go up somewhere high just to deal with it. I was shy at one time, and so I learned how to give public speeches, which is probably part of the reason why I teach public speaking as well. But the whole thing is confidence, and it goes back to building confidence. And I'll tell you, it's 10 times better in confidence if you're retaining because you're learning self-control. And once again, that's the foundation, and then that goes into other behaviors that can benefit you. So dealing with fear is your enemy here, my friends. Our worst enemy really is ourselves and the fear we created in ourselves. So that's the thing that I would kind of focus on here. And remember, you have to try to clear your mind every day. Don't allow that fear to continue the next day. A lot of people in business do that. They go back and look at failures they had and things that they missed. Don't think about the past. There's a reason why it's called history, my friends. Right? It's the story of mankind, but it's in the past. Don't think about the past. Living in the present is a key moment. And even though you may have, in the case of retention, you may have relapse, move ahead, move ahead. Don't think about the past failures. A lot of times we think about the past failures, we get depressed and anxious of things we should have done. But that's the past. And you can't do anything about the future because the future is going to come ahead of you. But you can do something about what you can do right now. And a big part of that is controlling that fear you have and doing things, taking chances, taking risks. Like I said, I would never have thought I'd be doing these kind of videos ever. But I always wanted to do these kind of videos, so it's exciting to me. I'm having fun doing it, and we'll see what ends up happening with it. But the bottom line is that I hope I'm helping people, and from the responses I'm getting from a lot of you, I am helping you, at least think about some of these topics and ideas. And so I want to continue doing that, and we'll continue doing that. So, all right, warriors. It's always a pleasure. Vigor Warriors, keep moving, battling on to the next day and the next day, and keep going. And once again, the biggest thing you got to take out of this one is that fear is the devil. The fear is going to be the enemy you have, and you're going to have to deal with that fear. Don't just block it off. Don't just run away from it all the time. At times you're going to have to kind of deal with it and go with it. All right, until next time, battle on.